All right, we've got a shoot today. I'll be running sound, and this is what I'm bringing to the car. You got my sound bag, which I prepared yesterday. I'm bringing my C stand just in case they want to do boom audio. I've got the blimps just in case we do outside stuff. We got the baby ball gag and the slates down here, which is like super broken. I got some stingers and stuff, and just kind of other like general filming gear in there, just because after today I have another shoot in the weekend. Here's my wonderful case that I love so much. So I'm also bringing my camera bag. In this pouch we have SD cards, we have NDs in here. I have batteries for this camera in here. This is an extra not 9 volt. This is extra V-mount battery, just because I like to bring an extra one just in case. And I have a little air blower here. And we got my F2 in here, just in case, you know.
So as my car warms up, I'll talk a little bit more about the project. A buddy of mine asked me yesterday if I had a mic, and I was like, obviously, dude. I'm a sound guy. But then he asked me if I want to run sound for it instead. So I was like, yeah, I'll run sound for you. So I'm going to be doing a gig. It's going to be interviews, he said. A few interviews and probably 10 minutes the most. Maybe there's 2 at the same time, so we'll see what happens. And it's all the way down in Nixa. I think it's a milling company, so we'll see what happens there.
The location was this warehouse that had no insulation and no HVAC installed, so it was pretty cold in there. They had this heater running that was very loud in between takes, just to try to keep the place warm a little bit so it won't be so unbearable. So most of the B-roll here is pretty loud, but it's not too bad. So I decided to go with a boom after all, just as kind of a backup. And I forgot my XLR cable, so I had to borrow the camera guy's XLR cable. It wasn't long enough to reach where I wanted to be, so I just set up a wireless boom to kind of prevent a trip hazard. I was running my NTG3 through my blimp just because I didn't want to take it off to save some time. That went into my PS1A, which provided phantom power. And then I went out into my Sennheiser G3, and that just sent out into my track 1.
So that's that angle.
So they were running 2 cameras, the FX9 and FX6. I set up my UltraSync 1 as the master that generates the time code, and I jammed those to my tentacle syncs. So one would go to the FX6 and one go to the FX9, and then I will go into the F8N with the UltraSync 1.
Overall, the shoot was good. It was just the three of us as crew members, so it wasn't a huge shoot, but I think it's kind of a bigger shoot that the camera guy doesn't get to do a lot, which is a good thing. You know, he was able to hire me onto the shoot as well, so that's pretty cool. And we all know each other, so like it's not like we never knew each other beforehand. So it was a fun shoot like always. It did kind of suck that it was kind of cold the whole day. None of us took our coats or hoodies off, so we kind of stayed bundled up as much as we could. And ironically, if you step outside, it's actually a little bit warmer because we're not trapped in the cold in the warehouse. So I am back from the shoot. It was an all-day shoot, just like I anticipated. It went well. It was cold, unfortunately, but we managed through it and we got some good stuff. Like I said, the interviews were pretty quick. There were 10 total interviews, but like we had some lighting set up and there was 2 camp setups, so you know we did time code and all that stuff. So it just kind of took a little bit longer in that process. And some interviews were just like one person, some were 2, 3, and some had a whole family. So it was like all over the place kind of, but we managed and we didn't have to like rearrange things too much, so it was pretty good. So I'm back now, and I'm just gonna transfer the audio stuff and send it to my guy, and he will take care of everything. So the reason why I thought it was a milling company was because I think the building they're making is called 14 Mill Market, and it has a mill in it. So I just thought like, oh, it's a milling company, right? So, but it's not. It's actually a building they're making, and I think a lot of vendors are like basing their business in there. I think it's either all food or mostly food. So that's what's happening there. They're building a brand new company there. Not brand new company, a brand new building there, and they are going to be like having food services, I guess, for a bunch of people. So it's pretty cool. Like a lot of, like everyone knows each other because it's one building, I guess, you know. So I think it's gonna be kind of like a strip mall in that sense. So, but I don't know enough about it. Only the organizer and obviously the DP knows more about it. So that's what that is.